Alright, today's video, I have an update for you guys for my interior renovation. So I want to keep this, but these are going to be a fake wood wall. Here's how the back of my van looks right now. So bench seats coming out, and then I'll have more foot room in this area, and I have a step right here, so I'll be able to go inside of my van through the back. So I have the extended model Econoline. So your standard length Econoline looks like this. The extended is this extra window right here, this extra section, 18 extra inches over the standard length. Just remove the bench seat, and now look at all that space. It looks like more than 18 inches, so that little window is the extension. So I put a divider right here. This case is the divider. So a standard length Econoline would be about right here. So you have that much space on a standard length. The extended length, this much more. So let's take a look at it. So I have an ottoman coming in. It's on order. I should get it today actually. It's 15 inches tall, 15 inches wide, and about 30 inches out. So it should come out to right here to right here, and I'll have all this space left. So I still have to remove the seat brackets right here, but that's it right there. Look at all that space. I mean, I've had this van for 4 years now, and I'm impressed. I should have took that bench seat out a long time ago. Brooke loves the beach. I'm not too crazy about the beach, but I do like watching nature. I do like looking at the ocean, mountains. So next time we go to the beach, I'll just hang out in my van with the whole doors open thing going. Look at all that space. It's nice. All right, here's some advice for you guys, and it's relevant to any van that you might own. So this is the extended length as stated. And Ford did something really goofy. Unlike GM, they did not extend the wheelbase. So on GM's extended vans, they actually extend the wheelbase. Ford just tacks on 18 inches. So the extended Econoline has some really weird proportions. So the third row bench seat was right here. The fourth row was right here. So you had all kinds of weight on the rear axle and behind the rear axle. Now that I removed the bench seat, so the bench seat was about 100 pounds. So instead of being 100 pounds, it was probably more like 300 pounds since it's way back behind the rear axle. So it's like a pendulum. So now that I took that off, it's probably a lot less stress behind the rear axle. So here's my advice if you're starting up a van build. And like I said, this is relevant to any van you buy. So there's a wheel well, so obviously the rear axle is right here. The rear axle is right here. So here's some car guy talk and some advice if you're starting up a van build. So here's my fridge right here. My solar battery is right there where that bungee is. Storage bins, just random stuff under the bed. And this is for retro gaming fans. Here's some of my games right here. So now that I removed the bench seat, that thing was about 100 pounds, and not only was it on top of the rear axle, it was way back there. So instead of 100 pounds, like I said, it was probably more like 300 pounds, like a pendulum, and that probably affected the handling a little bit. But now I could do some canyon carving with some Miatas now that I don't have all that weight back there. Here's another thing to think about when it comes to weight and your van build. Think about the best supercars in the world. They're mid-engine, meaning the engine sits right on top of the rear axle, maybe even a little ahead sometimes. Very rarely do car manufacturers do a rear engine. They do that for a reason. That's not the optimal handling when you have the engine way out in the back. So yeah, of course I'm not going to canyon carve with Miatas, but when it comes to a van, any improvement in handling is good. You should take what you could take, especially with something like this. My channel is more centered around lifted vans, off-roading, and camping. It's not your standard van life channel. So here's another thing to consider. 5-inch lift kit, aux locker, rear locker, but I'm running load range E tires, 10-ply tires. So these tires, feel these tires even not inflated. They feel like they're inflated even with air. They're hard, durable tires. So the recommended pressure is 60 psi front, 80 psi back, and that's especially important if you're using this to haul 4,000 pounds like the rating says. You could haul 4,000 pounds of cargo or people, and it's especially important when you have 4 people sitting back here. So what's the average person weigh? Let's say 200 pounds. That's 800 pounds sitting way behind the rear axle. So of course you want to run load range E's and inflate these to 80 psi. These vans, if you don't inflate them correctly, they're actually known to delaminate, and that's very dangerous. So if you're running 4,000 pounds in the back, you want to make sure this tire doesn't delaminate. Of course, you're going to have to run load range E's, 10-ply tires, 80 psi in the back, 60 in the front. The gentleman that owns Action Van Suspension, he's running Duratrack tires. Those are not load range E's. Those tires are rated for 2,800 pounds per tire. These tires are rated at 3,800 pounds per tire. But since I'm never going to have 4,000 pounds in here, and I just took a bunch of weight off of the rear, way in the back, I'm thinking of running a softer tire. So a softer tire will improve the off-road performance of this vehicle and have a nicer ride. I'll talk about that later. But now I don't think I need to run 60, 80. So I'm pretty sure I could run 60 in the back now that I don't have all that weight hanging off the back, and most of my weight is ahead of the axle now. So that's another thing to think about when building up your van. Try to get as much weight as you can off that rear axle. It's okay to put some weight on the rear axle, especially in the snow, but try to keep weight off of this area right here. Keep weight here towards this way. So there's a little interior renovation update. I have my fake wood walls, and the rear bench seat is removed. Now I have all kinds of space. Should have did this a long time ago. I'm just amazed at how much more space I have now. All right, everyone, have a great day. Slick Rick's brother. I think that's Slick Rick. I'm gonna text him and tell him, hey, I saw you at Walmart, Slick Rick. It's Slick Rick. I'm at Action Van Suspension. This is Larry's van. He has the Goodyear Duratracks. These are good tires. This is what my dad's truck came with, his Colorado ZR2. There you go, full tilt off-road. Action Van Suspension. There's my van right there, getting ready to be worked on. Rear locker, re-gear.